Shadow Flygon going to farm up. Look to bank his energy before making the catch onto Dusknoir, where the Sacred Sword will be double resisted. The opponent then going to pivot out into Skeleturge. They're going to see the fast move pressure and concede the match. Welcome back to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, you'll know that I've already got Shadow Dusknoir built. I built it last season as a fun spice pick, and I said it was probably one of the worst Pokemon I've ever used, due to the fact Hex is a dreadful quick move, and it was doing zero fast move pressure, and to be honest, it had Dark Pulse and Shadow Ball, where both moves were very expensive. This season it received not one buff but two. Astonish got a huge buff and he got access to Shadow Punch, and apparently now it's a top meta threat, so of course I'm going to have to try it out for myself. Recently with Shoutcast no Bonfire Head, and I said ground was such a disrespected typing in the Open Ultra League, we thought we're going to try out a spicy ground type with Shadow Flygon. The lead today is going to be Shadow Alolan Sandslash, mostly because I thought so many people are weak to Sonic the Hedgehog, so why not test it out, and that is going to be my line of 3. Not too much thought goes into my team build, and the game state is pretty dreadful, and I'm just rocking with 3 fun Pokemon. Without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game 1, Sonic the Hedgehog picks up a fantastic lead. The opponent safe switches into Swampert, and I opt to send out Flygon. I'm essentially just looking to keep this thing as far away from Ninetales as I physically can. I'm going to shield up the Hydro Cannon, throw 1 Dragon Tail and the Dragon Claw. You can see the Dragon Tail damage in Ultra League is absurd. This isn't even a Shadow Swampert, and they are already in the red. The opponent didn't invest a Protect Shield, but that's fine. We tank a Hydro Cannon. We're going to be able to Dragon Tail farm down, and Ninetales with a shield advantage is still going to have a very rough time against Sonic the Hedgehog. The opponent then sends out Nidoqueen. I said in the intro, people disrespect Sonic, and here's a prime example, ABA weak. I force myself shield advantage, then look to catch a potential Earth Power onto Dusknoir, but the thing is, when you run Shadow Pokemon, people love to bait, but unfortunately for this opponent, I've got not one thing that resists poison, but 2. This could be an Earth Power, but I really don't care. I've got no intentions of shielding Dusknoir. The opponent falls into the Earth Power, even at -1. My level 51 Dusknoir holds strong, reaches the Shadow Ball, guaranteeing the final protection, and I send back out Sonic. I pause a turn, which is pretty risky in this game state, as often you will not see the quick move. But I managed to knock him out with the Ice Punch. Back out comes Ninetales. Trainer, why are you wasting my time? I was actually able to go on a very nice win streak with this team, and a huge part of that was due to just how good Sandslash is in this meta. Now counter users are gone, and no one other than me is using a Force Palm user. I think it's actually a pretty safe pick. Of course, I'm not using a Force Palm user on this team, but I did use it yesterday. If you want to see Hariyama action, go check out the video. In the next battle, Sonic the Hedgehog once again wins lead. This thing is like a cheat code right now. A lot of content creators will move their battles around, showing the games where they hard lost lead and managed to win the battle. I personally just stick the battles in the order I played them, so it is what it is. Sonic, stocks rising by the second. Although on a side note, for those of you that believe in the algorithm, we win quite a lot of leads and then we lose a lot of leads consecutively, so take that for what you will. The opponent looks to snipe me with Skeleturge, and I send out Flygon. Flygon resisting the Incinerates, but going to take massive damage from the Disarming Voice. We farm up to the double. If the opponent shields this, we're going to be able to fire off the next one, winning the charge attack priority and gaining us a shield advantage for Dusknoir to hopefully sweep the back line. The opponent does double shield. Flygon, you've done your job, buddy. It's time for Dusknoir to come in and have some fun. Disarming Voice secures the knockout. I wait out my clock, send out Dusknoir. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, send out Ampharos, but this Ampharos has no Protect Shields to hide behind. Ampharos is going to be straight in and straight out. Get the Ampharos off my screen. We're going to Astonish farm down Skeleturge and take that game. In the next battle, we see another Alolan Ninetales. It's kind of funny that if you see Alolan Ninetales in the lead, people often stay in as Sonic completely core breaks this opponent. We're going to fire off the drill run, forcing us early shield advantage. Literally, what is the opponent going to throw? At worst, a Dazzling Gleam that's going to take him 10 years to get to on Charm, and even that's resisted. Fairies are often going to come with ground types, because fairies, of course, weak to both steel and poison, which ground types do very well into. I'm going to tank this next Weather Ball, and this is where I think I make a huge mistake. I'm actually going to bank my energy, and out comes Lickitung. I think that's a huge misplay. I should have just fired off the drill on and allowed myself to go down. Because if the opponent pivots out of this matchup, they're going to align this Licky with my Dusknoir using a full Ghost moveset where I can only hit for double resisted. However, luckily for me, the opponent opts to stay in. They even tank the Scorching Sands and we get the debuff. So perhaps my misplay will not be punished. But don't do what I do. Do as I say and not as I do. As the opponent's staying in quite a poor matchup, I'm thinking they must be weak to Flygon in the back, so I up the shield, keeping 3 Pokemon alive. Out comes Tentacruel. What the hell does this opponent do against the Registeel, or any steel type for that matter? I have no idea. I force a Protect Shield with the Scorching Sand and send out Dusknoir. No one move will knock out. The opponent might go for the Acid Spray, hoping I shield. Then they get to fire off the harder hitting move with a debuff defense. Yeah, that isn't happening. We've already seen my level 51 Dusknoir tank an Earth Power at -1, so I was fairly certain I'd survive the Scald. Even if I didn't, I've got the drill on bank. So we opt to save the shield for next season, as the game state is horrendous, and we manage to nuke him with a Shadow Ball and emerge victorious. In the next battle, we see a fantastic lead. I am telling you, get on Sonic now. The opponent save switches into Virizion, and we answer with Dusknoir. This is such a good matchup for us. We tank the Leaf Blade. You can see we can easily tank 2. I opt to fire off the Shadow Ball on the CMP type. I actually thought that would knock out, but Virizion shows it's very respectable bolt. Not knocking out actually might be better for us, it leaves minimal farm for the returning Dragonite. We are quite low, but we still reach the Shadow Punch, which will certainly go unshielded, but it does do some very respectable damage. Shadow on Shadow Crime. After landing the Shadow Punch, I've already decided I'm just going to go for the 1 shield, Shadow Claw farm down, have energy here, and a 2 versus 1 scenario. The opponent saves their Dragonite at low health, send out Skeledirge, and I instantly pivot into Flygon. Once again, we sneak the Dragon Tail, and this is going to be like deja vu. We're going to throw 3 Dragon Tails, and as long as the game doesn't lag, we're going to be able to fire off back to back. That's actually 1 turn before the opponent reaches the Disarming Voice, so it's actually going to be CMP the second time. Thank God the game doesn't screw me over. We reach the Dragon Claw forces the final Protect Shield. As it's a 50-second switch timer now, again, I'm not going to throw, I'm going to anticipate the opponent trying to catch a Drill Run, which they do. We Shadow Claw farm down Dragonite, leave with the Drill Run, and the opponent is going to concede the match. The good leads continue, although I should enjoy it while it lasts, because it isn't going to last forever. The opponent stays in, so when they stay in, I always anticipate the opponent trying to make a catch. If the opponent would have caught a Drill Run here, that would have been quite brutal. We land the Ice Punch, then send out Flygon. Shadow Flygon, a very glassy Pokemon. I don't really need Switch, but I wouldn't mind keeping Flygon healthy. We shoot at the Oblivion Wing, Dragon Tail farm down, baiting back out Tentacruel. We are glassy, but Tentacruel, not known for his attack stat, we're able to withstand the Scald, reach the Scorching Sands, guaranteeing the knockout or our shield back. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield, and then send out yet another Dark type. A very fun team, and I already think I'm in trouble. Typing advantage is very much with me, but I'm using Shadow Claw, which is resisted by their sub-dark typing, and they're using Sucker Punch, which is a counter clone from last season, which was the best quick move in the game. You can see my health rapidly depleting. I shield at the Ancient Power, return fire with the Ice Punch. This Ice Punch will be landing, but I think I'm going to have to make a catch to win this battle. I'm going to farm up, look to make the Ancient Power catch onto Dusknoir. Very high risk and hopefully high reward. Can we Astonish farm down? We're going to attempt to get the resisted Astonish farm down, which we get. The opponent doesn't reach another move. Back out comes Tentacruel. We would have reached the Shadow Ball, so the opponent is going to concede the match. In the next battle, we see a more neutral lead. We have got Drill Run coverage, but Drill Run doesn't one-shot, and the opponent does resist our Shadow Claws. If Drapion is able to get the Crunch debuff on the first go of it, they're actually able to knock us out with the second Crunch, and they do win CMP. We throw the Drill Run, the opponent invests that Protect Shield. And I've got a tough decision to make. I'm actually going to call this as an Aqua Tail. Luckily for me, this opponent isn't a Giga Chad, running the correct move of Sludge Bomb. However, they do score me like a potato, catching onto Gliscopod, where the Drill Run does absolutely nothing. We're now going to have to contend with that very healthy Drapion in the endgame, and our Dusknoir's on a full Ghost moveset where all our moves are resisted. Look at the frame drops. This game is horrendous, my god. However, we're able to fire off the Dragon Claw, removing Gliscopod from the field of play. The opponent's third is Dragalge. This Dragon Claw should be forcing the final Protect Shield. And despite us being fully walled, Dusknoir is going to have a 2-0 shield advantage. We send out Dusknoir. Unless the opponent builds up to an outrage, I always have to no shield this. The opponent doesn't build up to the outrage. This is an easy no shield from me. Minus letting the opponent catch. We're playing alright to this point. Until they send back out Drapion and I send out Sonic. So you're going to see numerous mistakes here. The opponent is going to be able to outpace me to 2 moves. I could shield this and fire off the draw, and I've got the Shadow Ball bank, but for some reason I threw the Ice Punch. Why, don't ask me. I think I'm just so tilted with how the game's working. I'm not really focusing as I should be. However, Dusknoir should be able to carry us home. We're just going to shield this move up. We're going to be able to Astonish farm down, and the opponent doesn't have a move bank. Shadow Punch would probably be lethal. We play it safe, throwing the Shadow Ball, guaranteeing the knockout. We're going to Astonish Farm down Drapion, and despite me playing really poorly, the team carries me over the line. In the next battle, we see Drifblim in the lead. This thing has access to Mystical Fire, and as they're staying in, I am quite worried that I'm going to tank one to the face. Last season, even when Drifblim used Hex, Mystical Fire did a lot of damage, so I'm worried the opponent will be able to Mystical Fire and Hex farm me down. They actually bait me with an Ice Wind like an absolute savage, then send out Clefable. I bank a boatload of energy and then send out Dusknoir. In this matchup, you're going to see why Dusknoir is ranked so highly. In neutral matches, it is so oppressive. Just look at the Astonish damage. The opponent makes a mistake going for the Swift. Swift double resisted, that simply will not get the job done. And we are going to guarantee the knockout, firing off the Shadow Ball and punish a no shield. The opponent opts not to shield, we secure the knockout, get off one further Astonish and re-enter the opening matchup. But this time we've got so much energy. Ice Punch forces the opponent's final protection, then send out Cobalion and we answer with Flygon. I had the drill on bank, but there really is no point in throwing it. If you're wondering just how hard Flygon hits, well, this hard. The opponent gonna get one shot from full health, Scorching Sands, gonna pick up that one hit KO, get that Cobalion off my screen. Back out comes Drifblim, Flygon still not done, able to reach the parting Dragon Claw and sweep the back line. Flygon, you monster. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, so I believe I won the first 8 games with this team. And then like magic, we see the hugest core breaker we could possibly see. Sonic gets clapped by Pangoro, Dusknoir fully walled. We send out Flygon, the opponent sends out Drapion. I think this is an easy bait opportunity. But of course we don't bait and I instantly regret it. Even if the opponent no-shielded the Dragon Claw, we could just fire off the next Dragon Claw outpacing. So I just don't know why Scorching Sands is there. I think I'm just a man who loves to send nukes, but sometimes you really need to recognise when you need to bait. This is most likely double Dark Poison, so even if we manage to take back Switch, we'll probably be losing this game. I am going to play it out in case the opponent has something else. We're forced to burn a shield here, over farm, guaranteeing we're going to get off some chip damage. On the return in Pangoro, back out comes Pangoro. I'm going to fire off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch does some decent damage to be honest, but the opponent is going to be able to fire off the Night Slash. We're going to hope it isn't Dark Poison. I've seen some people run this with like a Drifblim in the back, so win con for me would be Astonish farming down. I was going to say tanking the Night Slash, but the opponent got the boost, so I'm now forced to burn the final Protect Shield. However, it makes no difference. Out comes Skunk Tank, and yeah, I am running for the hills. In the next battle, we see a slightly negative lead. I'm going to say slightly negative, because we can hit for super effective. It does like half the health, whereas they can hit for super effective and completely one-shot me. The opponent throws the Focus Blast as soon as they get it. We get a huge amount of lag. I'm like, what the hell is that? Luckily, we somehow managed to hit an excellent. We're going to force our shield back, or punish a no-shield, firing off the drill run and attempt to catch. As we got so much lag, this is just a guess to be honest. We send out Dusknoir. Doesn't look like a clean catch, but hoping we caught a Focus Blast, and thankfully we did. Out comes Gator. It's our first Gator sighting of the video, and you will notice we are incredibly weak to a Gator. We start seeing a lot of them, and that is the reason why I started using Blossom yesterday, which you can see some bonus battles at the end of the Hariyama video if you're interested. Blossom looking like a very fun pick. You can see the opponent didn't respect the Shadow Punch, and Dusknoir, despite taking super effective from this thing, more than holds its own. Shadow and Shadow Crown. Hydro Cannon will hurt, but it's going to do objective less than the Focus Blast. That would one-shot us from absolute full health. We tank the Hydro Cannon, commit to the Shadow Claw, farm down, back out, comes Reggie. I overfarm, not as much as I physically can, but I'm worried of lag, because I'm a pussy and I throw the drill run. I could have got away with 2 extra Shadow Claws, but it is what it is. Out comes Golurk. Golurk going to be putting up that Protect Shield, blocking up the Ice Punch, and this game's over. I'm just going to shield up one move. I was thinking I probably need to Scorching Sands, but yeah, we definitely don't. Dragon Claw easily get the job done. I farm up to the Scorching Sands and throw the Dragon Claw anyway. I'll be honest, that was actually over tap. I tried to throw one before, but regardless, despite the game being trashy, we emerge victorious. In the next battle, for Alligator doing its best impersonation of a London bus. For those of you that live in London, you'll know. You'll wait for ages for a bus and 2 will come along at the same time. Did I mention the game's trash? Thank you, Niantic, for denying me in a matchup that's already pretty bad. We tank the Hydro Cannon, return fire with the drill run, thankfully which goes unshielded. The opponent then opts to throw the Hydro Cannon. I'm thinking 3 Dragon Tails probably knock them out. 1, 2, we get the perfect farm down. Flygon with energy, pretty good into anything that isn't a Charmer. The opponent sends out Cobalion, which is not a good matchup behind an energy. Again, I think this is a bait opportunity, but you know the drill. We full send, guaranteeing the shield or the knockout. The opponent obliges, putting up that protect shield, and they instant throw. So I'm going to anticipate the opponent being insta-throwing Andy. Shout out to buddy King GBL, who likes to call people who throw the moves as soon as they get it, insta-throwing Andes. And luckily for me, I catch the double resisted Sacred Sword. Onto Dusknoir, the opponent sends out a Skeledirge, see the absurd fast with pressure, and concede the match. In the next battle, another Gator. It's kind of funny that I won a load of leads consecutively, and then I lose a load of leads consecutively. I see a lot of people say that the algorithm keeps you kind of around the same elo. I don't believe in the algorithm. I did find this funny. Again, we tank the charge move, return fire with the drill run. The opponent then looks to snipe with Machamp, and I send out Flygon. Flygon isn't bad into this matchup. You can see the Dragon Tails are really chunking. However, the correct play would have been to send out Dusknoir, where the Karate Chops are double resisted and the Astonished damage is just as oppressive. I was forced to throw the Dragon Claw there on alignment. As I counted 7 Karate Chops, there's only 4 to each cross chop, so if I would have went for the correct 1 and throw, they could have outpaced me to the next cross chop, meaning I'd be forced to shield. Instead, we just opt to send out Dusknoir with his 2 shield advantage, correctly shield up the Stone Edge and get some energy together. The opponent sends out Giratina. I'm never throwing it. I'm going to anticipate the opponent going for the combo play, which they do. I'm going to shield up a Hydro Cannon. That's Hydro Cannon, despite only being neutral, going to do objectively more than a Shadow Sneak from Giratina. The opponent now receiving the energy for the Shadow Sneak, hence I throw on alignment once again. We're going to try and be cheeky, catch it onto Sandslash. The opponent doesn't throw. We Simul KO and emerge victorious. The tough leads continue. Unlike Cobalion, Virizion a lot more of a headache due to Flygon being part ground. If they're on Leaf Blade, which they are, yeah, that does far too much damage. The opponent chips me, then send out Gator again. The game stuttering all over the place, but able to fire off the Dragon Claw once again, obtaining that shield advantage. You'll notice that time I did bait. If I would have thrown the Scorching Sand at the opponent's shielded, they would have just fully Shadow Claw farmed me down, which I didn't want to happen. So luckily we forced the opponent to deplete some of their energy. I can now send out Sandslash, again operating as the damage sponge. Hopefully with Gator out of the way, the opponent doesn't have a normal type and Dusknoir up a Protect Shield can sweep the back line. We fire off the drill run, removing Gator from the field of play, and I am spamming the switch. Virizion temporarily makes an appearance before Ampharos enters the battlefield. Of course, these are the moves I'm going to shield. They hit for super effective, whereas the Leaf Blade is only neutral. Again, I am going for a bait, although in fairness, is this even a bait? Shadow Punch definitely going to knock out from this range. Shadow Punch now a pretty good move after the buff. You can see Shadow Punch does secure the knockout. Back out comes Virizion. I've still got a shield. I'm going to show the opponent Leaf Blade isn't going to get the job done, and I really hope they just top left and not waste my time. I actually attempt to make a catch on the CMP tie, but the opponent actually concede anyway. GG's. In the next battle, we see Clefable in the lead. Finally, we pick up a good lead, but a Gator save switch is very problematic. Flygon doesn't beat Shadow Gator in any even shielding scenario. However, I wouldn't mind playing out the 2s here, just getting shields down, because I think Dusknoir is going to be objectively better with shields down. The first time I throw, I overfarm to a point just before the next Hydro Cannon, meaning I've got residual energy should they just no shield completely. We force a Protect Shield, then fire off the next Dragon Claw. At this point, the opponent does take their shield advantage. Rather than getting farmed down as an energy, I pivot out into Sandslash, and that pivot is key, because it draws out Drapion, which is something Dusknoir doesn't want to see whatsoever. Again, no messing around, full send the drill run, either land the big damage or force the final shield. Even if the opponent's on Aquatail won't be lethal from this. We can safely reach the next drill run, which is going to get them low. The opponent here likely overfarms as much as they physically can. We should be sitting in a great spot. Crunch will be securing the knockout. I can send out Flygon, look to snipe with a Dragon Tail. The opponent of course keeps Drapion alive, pivots into Clefable. Clefable is going to reach one Moonblast, but they're going to need to double Moonblast us to knock us out. They're not going to reach it before the Shadow Ball's reach. Dusknoir hits insanely hard. Is Shadow Ball enough to one-shot Big Bad Clefable? It actually isn't, but one more Astonish gets the job done. Drapion forced to dump their energy. If I was them, I would have overfarmed a bit more, but I'm not complaining, and one Dragon Tail is going to get the job done. GG's. Oh boy, that's a yikes lead. We save switch into Flygon. The opponent stays in. I'm thinking I don't want to shield a cross chop. Yeah, close combat. Fuck my life. One shot, probably from full health to be fair. A very cool moveset. Shout out this opponent. I actually love this team from the opponent. They're also running Shadow Alolan Sandslash, a Pokemon that served me very well in today's showcase. We fire off the Shadow Punch, which does a lot of damage Shadow and Shadow Crime. I'm just trying to stall out the timer at this point. We shield up the drill run, switch timer pops up. We're going to throw 3, look to catch, back onto Sonic. Please tell me they Ice Punch here. Okay, we're back in the game. We're just going to commit to the full Shadow Claw farm down. We know Machamp's returning, but they're definitely in Ice Punch range, so we should be forcing some shields back. The first Ice Punch forces the first Protect Shield. If the opponent look for the full Karate Chop farm down, that is going to cost them both Protect Shields. My switch timer isn't going to be up. You can see I'm trying to save Sandslash, but I'm unable to do so. Out comes the basic bitch tin can, just when I was giving this opponent praise. I'm just kidding. You can run whatever you like. 2 cool Pokemon with kind of a meta monster is more than acceptable. Unfortunately, I've very much found myself in Zap Cannon range. Win con for me at this point is hoping the opponent's on a full fighter moveset, but I'll be honest, in the red, a close combat, despite being double resisted, easily going to knock out. I farm up to the point. I've got a Shadow Punch bank. Can we survive this move? No. They're on Stone Edge close combat. Very cool moveset, and I get my butt kicked. In the next battle, I see a Dragonite lead. The opponent saves switches into Drapion. I'm actually going to stay in just for a small amount of time. Look to force a shield or punish a no shield and then eventually make a pivot into Flygon. Ball in the opponent's court. They look to call a bait or opt to sack Drapion completely. Either way, we can Dragon Tail farm down. If Dragonite should return, we are going to be able to outpace. I actually intentionally overfarm here as I know Flygon is going to be switch locked should the opponent no shield. I actually know this opponent. He's a good friend of mine, someone I play like 3 or 4 times every season, or at least it feels like it. We're pretty even overall, but unfortunately this battle is going to be RPS in my favour. We send out Dusknoir, anticipating him throwing the superpower as he's only going to reach 1 move. He sends out Typhlosion, Dusknoir, just far too oppressive. We're going to be able to reach the double Shadow Punch. Rich, being a very talented battler, recognise the game's over, tanks the damage, and this time I emerge victorious. But he definitely kicks my ass more often than not. Well, maybe it's more even. GG's, buddy. And that is going to wrap things up for today's showcase. As always, I think Sonic the Hedgehog is very high risk, high reward, having 2 double weaknesses. But if you avoid that, it always performs fantastically as a very good core breaker. Dusknoir, greatly improved. You can definitely see why it's ranked in the top 20 now rather than 700. That Astonish Shadow Punch combination is so oppressive, especially in type neutral matchups. In the current meta, I think so many things are weak to ground. I wanted to run a fun, spicy ground type, so I opted for Flygon. The only reason I really ran Dragon Tail, if I'll be honest, is because the game is pretty trashy. And I think you are rewarded for using Pokemon with high damage output quick moves or oppressive quick moves like Dragon Tail. However, if I was to use another ground type, I'll be honest, I think Golok or Hippowdon performed the role better, but it still was very fun overall. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to a battle submission form is down below, and as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.